This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, that is Sam. You heard correctly. Grant Coppersmith, my normal co-host of the Bax and Grant Sports Show, is off this morning. He has been stricken with a severe sickness. Now he's sick. Let's make it not as brutal as possible.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
He is. He'll be fine. He'll be back tomorrow. He has just got the day off today, and will rejoin us, Lord willing, tomorrow for our 100th episode. Tomorrow, 100. Holy cow. But Sam Wallace stepping in today into the co-host seat. So welcome, Sam. How are you?
Wonderful. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to get the show on the road. Episode number 99. It's kind of crazy how fast time flies when you're having fun.
I mean, if you love what you're doing, you're never going to work a day in your life, right?
Absolutely. I have yet to, do anything sort of work, but, I enjoy it. I enjoy what we do. And we enjoy that you guys continue to tune into the show, so thank you for that. Just want to remind you that you can check out the show right here on Spreaker.com live from 7 to 8 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday, and on Periscope as well. Good morning to all of you watching on Periscope. Nice to see all of you. Thank you for your little bit of banter and commenting early in the show. We look forward to hearing more from you during the show. You can also catch us on SportsRadioAmerica.com live 365 and tune in from 11 to 1 p.m. Central, and then on demand anytime you want on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on Spreaker.com as well. For those of you that enjoy the social media world, the craziness that is going to now be Facebook with the dislike button. Yes, the dislike button is coming.
I'm so excited.
Oh my goodness, people are just
so much
freaking
hate.
out. What are people going to dislike first?
Facebook.
Yeah. They're gonna can you dislike a page?
I don't know. Can you?
To see it. Maybe.
We'll see. It's going to be the next big social experiment.
Oh gosh, Facebook is such an interesting time. But anyway, you can like the Bax and Grant Facebook page by going to the Bax and Grant Sports Show on Facebook. Twitter, you can follow us at BG Sports Show. You can follow myself at Baxter Colburn. Grant is at Grant's Rant, BGSS. Sam, you are
Samuel_Wallace 2.
Samuel_Wallace 2. There you go. And then Instagram, we are BG Sports Show as well. And then if you ever want to get a hold of us, drop us an email at bgsportshow@gmail.com. Well, Sam, I'm going to do my best to not call you Grant today.
That's fine. If it happens a couple times, I'll forgive you.
Exactly. I'm used to it. I'm used to saying, well, Grant.
Well, good.
Yeah. Srant.
That's fine.
Graham. I don't know. I'll call you Graham.
Sure.
We've got some interesting things to talk about on the show today. There are a few different news-related things happening in the NFL. We'll also be talking with David Kenyon on our second segment, and Connor Christensen will join us later on in the show with his Fight Corner. But it's interesting to see what is going on in the NFL right now. The latest news out of Seattle is, well, first of all, Jimmy Graham is not happy. He's not happy at all. He wants the ball.
I think when a lot of people first heard of the trade, I know I was shocked. I was like, oh man, great. I mean, I figured Seattle would have hopefully by this point found a way to really, really utilize his skill set. I mean, not that New Orleans is doing fantastic without him by any stretch of the imagination.
A whole lot better with him, that's for sure.
But the thing is they integrated him so well into their offense.
I don't understand how you don't give the second most dynamic tight end in the NFL only just a few targets a week. Give that man the ball. I don't care if you have beast mode in your backfield. You give Jimmy Graham the ball.
You find a way to get the ball in Jimmy Graham's
Literally
hands.
Any other NFL team would have found a way to give him the ball right now. Seattle, I feel like, is that exception to the rule. It's like, come on, give him the ball. It's kind of like Johnny Manziel in Cleveland. Just let him play, coach. Give him the ball.
Put him in. What's the worst that can happen? Seattle, you're 0-2, all right?
Honestly.
Give Jimmy Graham the football.
And at this point, they play the Bears this weekend, so I'm not really surprised if Seattle just goes for like 50 on the Bears. But you've got to give Jimmy Graham the ball, and I feel like now that he's mentioned the fact that he wants the ball more and he's frustrated with how little he's getting the ball, wouldn't be surprised that first half they just peppered Jimmy Graham with targets.
I mean, I can't blame Jimmy Graham for wanting the trade. Now, he might have just been a lot smarter than us and seen the writing on the wall and kind of seen the situation in New Orleans deteriorating and going, you know what? I mean, Drew Brees is out of a lot of targets. He doesn't have too many deep threats anymore. I might be the number one guy, which means I'm going to draw a lot of attention from a lot of other defenses. Which means he probably won't get the ball a lot. And, to watch a team like Seattle who's done consistently very well the last few years to go, hey, I could be a big part of that dynamic offense. If they're missing that one thing, they've been always a little lackluster on the receiving end. I mean, Doug Baldwin, good receiver. I definitely wouldn't consider him to be elite by any stretch of the imagination.
Never will be.
But the thing is Jimmy Graham definitely could be that for them.
He could. He absolutely could. And looking at the Seahawks and flipping over to the other side of the ball, if you're a Seattle fan, you receive some good news.
Yeah.
Cam Chancellor, he's back. He's decided to put his big boy pants on and go back to work, and said that he will deal with the contract dispute at the end of the season, which if you're a Seattle fan, that could be good or bad.
I think for Seattle fans and just, I guess really for NFL fans, they're happy that he's going to put it off. It's like, come on, play the game.
Yeah. And that's what I've been saying this entire time. It's like, look, you have a job to do, and he's costing him. He's losing money. He lost a few $1 million by sitting out, but you have a job to do. He has 3 years left on his contract. In no way, shape, or form does he deserve a new massive contract.
No.
Not right now.
No.
I think Cam Chancellor's a terrific player, but there's no reason to be demanding a new contract with 3 years left. If he had a year left, if he had maybe even a year and a half left, the fact that he's got 3, I mean, come on, Cam.
No, I mean,
there's no business for that.
Let's see, I mean, if you had carried your team to a couple Super Bowl wins already here, and you were just starting off the year on fire, okay, you would maybe have some leeway. But like, I think Seattle set a good precedence when they said, look, if you do this, if we let you do this, it's going to start a trend of so many other players looking to restructure, and that's just not healthy for an organization, especially this early in the season.
Yeah, and somebody asked on Periscope if we watched the press conference. I did not get a chance to catch it. No. I just have seen articles and quotes from him, but I think that it's good that he's back, and Pete Carroll came out and spoke yesterday also talking about it, and he said that they won't officially know until Saturday whether or not Cam will play this Sunday. I feel like he will, but they said they want to give him 3 days of hardcore practice to see where he's at as a player and just kind of get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, again, his teammates all kind of said the right things. I mean, no one was going to bash him.
No one's going to come out and be like, well, this guy's an idiot for holding out. I might have been that guy. No,
I mean,
I wouldn't.
Again, Richard Sherman, Marshawn Lynch, they all kind of, very bluntly just said, hey, we support him.
Yeah.
We're glad he's back. And that's about all you can say. So I don't really know what anybody's expecting them to say otherwise.
I don't really know either. I mean, it raises good points. I mean, about, a man that claims he's the leader of the Seahawks defense, which I think Richard Sherman might have something to say
Legion
about
of
that.
Boom.
It's not the Legion of Cam. It's the Legion of Boom, because I feel like Richard Sherman made it that. But maybe just Richard Sherman's the front man. He's the guy. He's the town caller.
He's kind of the face of it, at least.
He is. I mean, they've got 3/4 of their Legion of Boom right now. I mean, they've got Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and Richard Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against whoever that other corner is, because last I checked, no one cares who that other corner is.
No, I mean, the fact that we don't know.
I've heard his name once, and last I checked, Green Bay did a good job of destroying him.
Yeah,
so just saying.
Be that as it may.
Be that as it may. If you're a Seattle fan, it's good news to get Cam Chancellor back. I'll be curious to see if he does play this weekend against the Bears. Might not be the worst game to get him back, considering that he won't have to work very hard.
No, I really don't think so. I mean, they think if he plays against the Bears, his primary concern will be stopping Matt Forte. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I'll be curious to see what happens with that. Staying on the West Coast, one other bit of news that we want to talk about here in our first segment is that the Oakland Raiders are sticking it to the man right now, Sam.
Good for them.
I'm surprised that, more teams haven't put up a front like this. But the Oakland Raiders, for those of you that don't know, have decided not to paint the 50 numbers on their field gold, which the NFL is doing with all the NFL teams this year to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Super Bowl. Can't believe it's already 50 years.
I know. I mean, I actually didn't realize that what was going on, in the first Packer game. I think it might have been actually the first Thursday night game when it was the Patriots and the Steelers. I'm like, why is the 50 different? But
I was thinking that too. I was like, okay, maybe it's
whatever.
Opening weekend.
Yeah,
the NFL's always painting different things. Like, was October's the pink month?
Yeah.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so all the pink gear will be coming out. So all the
I just figured it was just something. I didn't realize it was connected to that, which this is going to be Super Bowl 50 this year. So
it's kind of crazy to think. I mean, Monday night they're doing a whole big celebration for Green Bay and Kansas City since they played in the first Super Bowl. So that'll be cool. Nice little thing. But the fact that Oakland is standing up to the NFL right now, saying no, we're not going to paint we're not going to paint our 50-yard lines or the numbers 50. Is a little interesting. Some people are saying, well, it has to do with the fact that they share their stadium with the Oakland A's.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with baseball, according to certain people within the organization. They said the last 6 home games of the baseball season are going on through this weekend, but there will still be no gold marks for the rest of the Raiders' regular season after that.
Yeah.
Is this just the fact that Oakland has never gotten along with the heads of the NFL, Sam, or what exactly is going on?
I don't know. It almost sounds childish. It's like, all right, you know what? I understand you share a stadium. I mean, thankfully here in Wisconsin, we're blessed to not have to share Lambeau Field with anybody except for the Packers. Why
would we want to?
Why would you want to share the hallowed ground that is Lambeau? But it's one of those things where, I get, even if they held off for this weekend and let the A's finish up their season, that's understandable. Go ahead, that's fine, but come on. You pick this of all issues to stand up and act tough in front of the NFL on. So I just think it's a little bit ridiculous.
And the article that we're using as a reference here from Fansided.com, they make mention that the former Raiders owner Al Davis consistently butted heads with the league on multiple issues, and his son Mark has had pretty much the same response as well from the league. So this could just be a straight thing of Oakland's organization saying, hey, we don't want to comply, but at the same time, last I checked, doesn't the NFL have the governing body over the Oakland Raiders?
The thing is I think their quote-unquote governing body status has been so just racked by all of the turmoil that has hit the NFL in recent years, where no one is really sure who can do what anymore.
And I think that might be why Oakland is okay with it, because they're like, well, why you guys can't keep your act together with simple suspensions and other things? Why should we care? And at the same time, we need to remember it's Oakland.
Does anybody really care if they're gold?
Yeah,
if they have a 50
gold
line?
England, it's not Miami. It's not Green Bay. It's not a storied franchise. It's the Raiders.
No,
I mean, Oakland's got some history, but they're not one of the.
They also have Charles Woodson.
Love Charles Woodson.
I know.
Still a little dry.
He can come back anytime.
Yeah. How come he didn't get cut? Should have had him come over, and Green Bay would have re-signed. Can you imagine if Charles Woodson and James Jones would have both come back?
That would have been perfect.
That would have been amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, David Kenyon of Bleacher Report and the Sports Knot will be on to join us to preview the upcoming Green Bay Packers game against Kansas City and make note of any other exciting games happening this week in the NFL. We will be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Welcome back inside the studio. Sam Wallace stepping in for Grant Coppersmith today. Grant will be off for the day, but he'll be back tomorrow, so don't miss out tomorrow. Our Friday edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Always a good time. Sam, you'll be back again tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning.
This will be the third time this week.
2 days in a row.
I know.
Oh, my gosh.
My gosh, you're just taking over. Are you like getting ready to phase me out? Are you going to take my job?
Like, just Grant's.
Oh, well,
it's working.
You can, if you want to. No, I love Grant, but
we all love Grant.
Yeah, what's not to love about his random rants and tirades and
just general,
just the camaraderie he brings.
The Grantness of it all.
The Grantness, yes, exactly. On a quick side note, I feel like I always say it never ends up being quick.
That's fine.
Grant and I, after the show yesterday, watched the Super Bowl highlights of the Packers when they beat the Steelers.
Ooh.
Just because he was on YouTube yesterday after the show and was like, oh, Super Bowl highlights. I'm like, okay. And we were watching.
You have to watch it.
And I did not realize, number one, how terrible that defense was.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely horrible.
I'm not sure how.
I was looking at some of the guys like Frank Zombo and Charlie Pepra and some of these other guys that were on the team.
Jarrett Bush.
I was like, how in the world did we beat a Pittsburgh Steelers team that had Mike Wallace, Hines Ward, all those other
a younger Hines Ward.
Yeah, I was just blown away. I'm like, there's no business. And then all the drop passes.
Oh yeah, James Jones.
James dropped a few. Jordy dropped a few.
Yeah.
I was just floored.
Driver went down. Woodson went down.
I was like, there's no way we should have won that game.
We had no business winning that game.
Yeah.
But kind of along that thread, after that season, I bought the the Super Bowl DVD that goes through all the games, and that's like my Sunday morning bye week tradition. So whenever the Packers have their bye week, I'm not sure when it is this year.
I gotta go to the Wallace house on bye weeks and relive
Sunday morning, or it's usually Sunday at noon or whatever. I'll just pop it in and relive the season that was full of ups and downs, and thankfully ended up on top. So.
Wow. Yeah, it's one of those things you're like, oh, we won the Super Bowl, and then you just like, okay, great. But then you go back and watch it, you're like, how? How in the world? I'm sure Pittsburgh fans are still going, how did we lose?
Amen.
I don't understand it. But a man that understands many things in the football world and always makes for a good time to speak with is David Kenyon of Bleacher Report and the Sports Knot. And we are thrilled to welcome him onto the show again this morning, as we do every Tuesday and Thursday. Good morning, David. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Oh, good. How are you looking for this upcoming weekend? A lot of fantasy football, I'm sure, going on. A lot of NFL games in the bag. What games are you really looking forward to the most out of anything coming up this weekend?
The ones I want to watch that I'm at least keeping an eye on: Atlanta, Dallas. Just to see the Cowboys, how they deal with the quarterbacks.
Yep.
I want to see Andrew Luck bounce back against Tennessee. Otherwise, Cincinnati, Baltimore is a game I'll be watching for sure.
Ooh, okay.
I'm definitely excited about Cincinnati this year. I want to see what they can do in the division that first time around.
Okay.
And that's about it for the 1:00 games. Otherwise, I'll keep a half an eye on Philadelphia.
I was wondering about that one.
I think New York is really going to go or host. I think they're really going to get after Philadelphia in the Meadowlands. That defense and Todd Bowles' blitzing schemes. He brings pressure from anywhere, from anyone, at any time, and I think that's really going to mess up Philadelphia.
Now, sticking with Philadelphia for just a brief moment, if the Eagles go 0-3 after this week, what is the shelf life on Chip Kelly? Does he get fired at the end of the season if they don't win more than 7 or 8 games?
I would say, yeah. I mean, that remaining schedule is not very appealing. They are going to avoid Tony Romo at that Week 9 rematch.
Okay.
But after that, there's Miami at New England. Buffalo's defense should give them fits. Arizona should win. And odds are they lose 1 to New York, the Giants.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I was hearing yesterday on the radio that if Chip Kelly doesn't have a good season, that we'll see him probably return to the college game, but you never really know with coaches like that. Maybe he just picked the wrong NFL team to try to convert to a college team.
I really think his shelf life, like you said, in the NFL is the clock is ticking very quickly on him. I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting the Eagles to come out of the gate a lot faster than they did this season, especially with the addition of Sam Bradford.
Yep.
And maybe finding more, I don't want to say maybe a franchise quarterback, but finding some stability in that position and some longevity. But it's just not working out for him.
No, I agree with you on that one. All right, looking at the later games that will be taking place on Sunday, and even that Monday night game we'll get to in a little bit, those Sunday evening games, afternoon evening games, which ones should we be keeping our eyes on, David?
I think the most competitive game of the 4:00 slate will be Buffalo-Miami. Though from an NFL fan perspective, Arizona is fun to watch, and then obviously Cam Chancellor's return is going to steal a little bit of the headlines.
Yes, I think the game will be on CBS, so I feel like I'm sure that'll all be the pregame, postgame, during halftime show. That'll all be centered around Cam Chancellor. He's back. How's he doing? Was it a smart idea? Should he come back sooner? All the normal.
Does he play? How many snaps does he play?
The normal hype, et cetera, et cetera. And against the team like the Chicago Bears, why not come back against them? You don't necessarily have to have a stellar game to really be playing an 0-2 Chicago team. Is there that game against Denver and Detroit, the Sunday night game, does that have any draw at all to you, or just should NFL fans care about that game at all? I know it's 2-0 Denver against 0-2 Detroit, but Detroit's one of those teams that, has that weird habit of randomly having a good game. But Denver's got such a great defense. I feel like they could shut down Matthew Stafford and we could all just go home by halftime and forget about the game.
I think it's either going to be exactly that, this was fun.
Yeah.
Something else is on TV, right? Or it's going to be a shootout. And I lean toward the former.
Okay.
I think Detroit's offense, they have to get it together sometime, but I don't think that's this week. Denver's defense is just so good.
Yes.
The cornerbacks, if they can contain Calvin Johnson and force Golden Tate and Eric Ebron to do everything, I just doubt that Detroit has enough, and especially not on defense. Yeah, Peyton, he's not looking tremendous, but I think they're going to move away from under center a little bit throughout the season.
In Denver?
I think, yeah.
And
Peyton will do well, I believe, on Sunday night.
Okay. Exciting. Yeah, we'll be curious to see how that game pans out along with all the rest of the Week 3 action. Now, the one game that has a little bit of significance, not only just for the fans of the Green Bay Packers, but also just for NFL history as a whole, is the Monday Night Football game when Green Bay takes on Kansas City, a rematch of Super Bowl I. Sam and I were talking about it in the first segment. We're just surprised that it's been 50 years already. Green Bay comes into this game 2-0 after defeating the Bears and Seattle, and Kansas City comes in at 1-1. To be fair to Kansas City, that was a ridiculous collapse last week, and they've had an extended amount of time to watch film, figure out what they're going to do, and then watch Aaron Rodgers do what he did to Seattle. Coming into this game, how important is it for Alex Smith to have a good game for the Kansas City Chiefs?
It's more important for Alex Smith to control the game. His label, his nickname basically is game manager, and that's exactly what he needs to be. Green Bay's defense is enough. It's much better than, as you guys were talking about, that Super Bowl win. That defense was atrocious.
Oh, my gosh.
It was.
So bad.
Yeah. But the 2015 defense is okay, and okay is all Green Bay needs if their offense is clicking.
Yes.
But Kansas City's offense is a little bit more than okay, as long as Alex Smith doesn't turn the ball over.
Yes, because they've got multiple options to get that ball to.
Oh, yeah, and quickly, too. Jamal Charles is probably the best running back in the league. I would say that if you made me pick. And then Jeremy Maclin, he's easily better than the Green Bay corner that will cover him.
Oh, yeah,
whether that's Shields or someone else.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. He's going to probably burn him. And Grant was making the statement yesterday that Kansas City has yet to throw a touchdown this season to a wide receiver, and more than likely it'll happen this week.
It's going to happen.
Green Bay is known for that kind of stuff.
Maclin is due.
Yeah, and on that note, really quickly, I love that stat. It's fun, but at the same time, if the tight ends and running backs are catching touchdowns, it's still a touchdown.
Exactly. It's one of those things that people like to dissect and say, oh, Kansas City's wide receivers are awful. Well, sure, but maybe they're just being covered really well, and Alex Smith is making the smart play and finding Travis Kelce or finding Jamal Charles. And it's interesting, too, because Travis Kelce is the leading receiver right now for Kansas City. He's got 10 catches, 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns. There's one question that I've been continuing to get asked of myself from other people, David. It's whether or not James Starks is going to be an impact player in this game and what exactly is going to happen to Eddie Lacy. From everything I've heard, Eddie Lacy has an opportunity to play in this game, but his role will be very limited. So James Starks, for any fantasy owners, for any daily fantasy owners, or just Packer fans in general, can expect Starks to see the ball more. Is that a fair assessment of the situation, or do you feel like something else, the Green Bay might take a little bit of a different approach?
It really will all depend on how much Lacy is limited throughout the week. I know people love to make those fantasy decisions early in the week.
Yes.
But that really is something where it depends on your team. if you have to wait for an official word on Lacey until Monday night, and odds are you have to.
More than likely, you're going to have to, yeah.
I wouldn't rely on them, and I feel like even if Lacey does play, he will be limited. So I wouldn't touch Lacey this week. It's just a little bit more concern. Now, as for Starks, that case is interesting. Sam and I talked about that a little bit yesterday.
Yes.
And he's an appealing play if you know he's going to get touches.
That's the big part of it, that we don't know.
Exactly. But the thing is, especially if you play in a PPR league, for reception, Starks is a pretty good check-down option, and he's proven that on multiple occasions.
Yes. And we saw that last week. There was multiple times where Rodgers found Starks on a quick little flip out of the backfield when everybody else was covered and scampered upfield for 5 to 10 yards. And okay, perfect, keep the drive moving. Let's go along with the play here.
Right, and he had 4 catches, but he only had 11 yards.
Mm-hmm.
On your fantasy team, that doesn't matter.
No,
but to the real life point, I think Starks is probably the best option. The Kansas City defense is stellar, I believe is the word I want to use.
Yes.
That secondary is outstanding, with the rookie Marcus Peters making a really, really good impact, an interception in his first 2 games.
Okay.
Eric Berry's been playing pretty well on his first games back,
which has been great to see. I was very happy to see
the
him
treatment.
Come back.
That's one of the best stories by far.
Yes.
But Green Bay, they are the last team to avoid Sean Smith, who is Kansas City's stellar cornerback.
Yep.
So that's a big advantage. But the biggest difference is, how can they contain Justin Houston?
Yes.
And Alan Bailey, the 2 defensive ends. I'm sorry. Well, yeah. Justin Houston, Alan Bailey, and Tamba Hali.
Yes.
Really,
there
all
we go.
3 of them with Don Terry Poe. That Kansas City defensive line is one of the best in the league.
That's almost That's almost a more realistic version of the Legion of Boom, I feel like, than what Seattle's got. I mean, you've got such a terrific grouping of players. I mean, Justin Houston was a half sack away from breaking the sack record last year. As he technically is a linebacker, is he not? He's an outside linebacker.
Technically. He's the buck.
Yeah. Kind of like Julius Peppers sometimes for the Packers.
Yep.
He's a defensive lineman, but he plays outside linebacker at times.
Yeah, exactly.
Also.
Yeah, he's basically what Clay Matthews used to do, which that's where he should be. He's a terrible inside linebacker.
Oh yeah, he's way better outside, I think.
No,
that's for sure.
Agree. One other point I would like to get your opinion on is the fact that Aaron Rodgers continues, and I know if any Packer fans are out there, they're going to be like, stop talking, you're going to jinx it, but Aaron Rodgers has such a stellar performance at home at Lambeau Field with a ridiculous defense like Kansas City has, and I'm sure there were speculations about this last week with Seattle, but with the pass rush that's going to be coming, is this the week that we might see Rodgers finally make that first mistake and throw that interception?
I don't think so. I think he's going to be pressured a lot. It's an interesting question to the point of how much does it matter.
Exactly.
In the grand scheme of the game.
He's already set an NFL record. I don't feel like anybody cares after that point.
Yeah, and of course Rodgers wouldn't care either. But I think the question is, does it cost them the game? Does it let Kansas City back into the game?
That's the more important part.
What is the impact of the mistake?
Yes.
Because you look at Peyton Manning last week, he threw an interception, and I think they lost a fumble, but it didn't matter.
No, they came back and won.
They made so many mistakes.
Yeah, I don't think the sky will fall if Rodgers throws a pick.
No, it'll be a little bit of media coverage about it. People will say, oh, the streak is over, blah, blah, blah. I guess, congratulations to that one guy that made the interception. And then I feel like if an interception does happen, it's not going to be because of something Rodgers did. It's going to be something because of a receiver that couldn't hold on to the ball. I see an opportunity.
I agree.
I see something where it's going to be a Ty Montgomery across the middle. It's going to be a younger receiver, Devontae Adams. Rodgers is going to slide the ball in there. It's going to bounce off the receiver's hands, and that safety who is staying close to the play. Oh, there's a ball, interception.
And we've seen that time and time again over the course of his history. So
yeah, it's not most of the time. Rodgers is not that quarterback where he's not going to make a dumb throw across the middle or try to chance double and triple coverage unless he doesn't trust his receivers. And
yeah, exactly.
That's just kind of how he is, and I feel like regardless, everything's going to be just fine for Green Bay, even if he were to throw an interception. One other thought I wanted to ask you, somebody posted this on Periscope, so I wanted to ask you, David, is do you agree with the statement that Kansas City is a running team in a passing division?
Huh.
It's an interesting question. I thought it was very well phrased from Le'Veon, who posted it on Periscope.
A running team in a passing division.
Yes. Yeah. Something maybe to think about, but I thought it was an interesting view on it.
It's a way to put a nice spin on it.
San Diego is a passing team trying to establish a running game.
Yep.
Denver is a passing team trying to establish a running game.
What running game?
Not functional running game.
Yeah.
There we go. CJ Anderson has not been the answer.
Trying to
Exactly. And then that last team.
Oakland is balanced.
I would agree with that. I think Oakland is more of a balance, but you've got at least half the division that's known for being a strong passing team with Rivers and Manning. And maybe you can make an argument with that saying, well, that's just how the teams are. I mean, look at the four quarterbacks in the division: Alex Smith, Derek Carr, Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers. Manning and Rivers, they love to air it out. Derek Carr, we're starting to see that habit come a little bit more now that he actually has guys to throw the ball to. And then Alex Smith, well, he's got guys he throws the ball to, but when Jamal Charles is your running back, it's kind of like what it's always been in Minnesota as well. If Adrian Peterson's your running back, you're going to give the ball to him. You're not going to worry about bombing it 50, 60 yards downfield. So
Exactly. And so I think that's a relatively fair statement that is changing.
Yes, I would agree with you on that one. I think that Kansas City has opportunities to show that they can pass the ball, but at the end of the day, Jamal Charles is going to get most of the carries, most of the touches during a game, and why not? I mean,
that works for me.
Yeah, Sam's got him on his fantasy team, so keep an eye on that. But thank you so much for your time today, David. We appreciate your insight. Enjoy your fantasy football-filled weekend. I'm sure you're in 86 different contests and 84 different leagues and all that stuff. So I'll let you get back to your game planning.
You got it. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. We'll talk to you next week. David Kenyon from the Bleacher Report and the Sports Nut. Always a pleasure speaking with him. We will be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Welcome back inside the studio as we continue to roll on. We just had David Kenyon of Bleacher Report and the Sports Nut on talking about the upcoming Week 3 action in the NFL. He was answering our questions and helping us preview the Monday night game against the Green Bay Packers and Kansas City Chiefs. Remember, if you enjoy listening and watching the Bax and Grant Sports Show, you can catch us live from 7 to 8 a.m. Central right here on Spreaker.com and on Periscope. We've already had some great questions on Periscope this morning, so thank you for that. We appreciate your listenership and viewership.
Good job, guys.
For any of you guys that had the opportunity to check out the videos that I did last night on Periscope, I know it was rather impromptu and not publicized at all, but
it was great, though.
I appreciate it.
It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Just laying on my couch, doing a little bit of homework. All of a sudden, bloop, Baxter Colburn is live. I'm like, what? But it's not 7 a.m.
I know.
So then, it was the impromptu, backup quarterback situation. Then he's like, all right, have a good night, guys. And all of a sudden, but wait, there's more.
You thought he was done.
He's coming back for a third time.
The masses, they wanted me last night. No, it wasn't that. I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on the points that we were talking about on the show yesterday about who the best backup quarterback is in the NFL, and also what your NFL team would be willing to give up if you wanted to trade for J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
Which I doubt will ever end up happening, but
it needs to. But
a guy can dream, a team can dream, but it's not going to happen. Well,
but we digress.
But we digress, as we normally do on the show. We have a new poll question, Sam, and this one has spurned a lot of different interesting answers.
From around the globe.
From around the globe, we have an international poll question because of statements that have come out from the Mayor of London. And
Who's the Mayor of London?
The Mayor of London is Boris Johnson.
His first name would be Boris.
Right? It's one of those things where you're just like, his last name Johnson, okay, but yeah, Boris.
Boris. 2 R's?
One.
1 R.
1 R. B-O-R-I-S, Johnson. It's not like a J-O-N-S-O-N, it's a J-O-H-N. He's
Boris Johansson?
Yes, no. It's Johansson. I don't think so.
Mayor of London.
Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London, was on Twitter yesterday speaking with, he was answering questions with the hashtag Ask Boris. And when a fan asked him, said, when are we going to have an NFL franchise in London? Boris Johnson promptly responded, we are working hard on a deal. High hopes for Tottenham in the next few years, which with this space, and folks know that Tottenham just got in the process of getting a brand new, beautiful stadium that will host a few NFL games when the NFL plays some of their their games over there. But we'll see with that. So that brought over an interesting question that we voiced at our poll question. So our poll question that we posted on our social media platforms, the Bax and Grant Sports Show on Facebook, my personal Facebook, Baxter Colburn, and then also on our Twitter at BG Sports Show. We asked the question, the NFL wants to place a team in London ASAP. Do you think it's a good idea for the league to expand outside the United States? Why or why not? And the comments that we received were very interesting, so we want to go through and highlight a few of them, and Sam and I will also drop our opinions as well as we go through. So Matthew was one of the first to respond to us. He said, in theory, yes. He said, in practice, maybe. He said, the hurdles of the game lie in the schedule and the balance of the conferences.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess go ahead.
No, I was going to say, that's one of those things where, the conference schedule is going to get dicey. And We'll elaborate a little bit more. I want to get through a few more comments here. Corey also mentioned, no, there's too much travel time for the games. If the NFL wants football in Europe, build a mini-league and expand it. That's kind of along the same lines that I feel.
Similar, yeah.
You don't need to put one franchise in England and then expect the NFL. And then it can't, you're technically compromising the name of the league. It's not the National Football League anymore.
It's the IFL,
the International.
I always kind of felt that way about Hawaii in college sports as well. I'm like, man, for every road game, they got to go across. Not that it's as far, Hawaii to the States.
Hawaii is coming to Wisconsin to play this weekend.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just a crazy commute. I don't want to get in, but for college classes and stuff.
That's what I mean.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll be out for a week. Where are you going? Wisconsin. What the? Okay.
It's cold there. Don't go there.
Yeah, they must know. I think, from an academia standpoint. Chase also mentioned. He said the travel is an issue. Playing games with jet lag or fatigue from travel could cause advantages depending on home team, and could increase the risk of injury. There are already issues with teams traveling from coast to coast. That's true. If you have a New York team traveling to Seattle or even Denver
for a Monday night game, that's
tough. Huge. And then if you sometimes have to flip around and play a Thursday night game, especially if you play in a higher atmosphere, that makes it very difficult.
I know Chase brought up a good point. That's one of the points that really hit home with me as well. I guess just from being an athlete standpoint, is jet lag is huge. I know these athletes are all young and incredibly fit. and can handle things like that, changes to their body. But, I mean, there's going to be speculation where if a team goes over and they're supposed to play really well and they just get trashed by the home team in London,
yes,
the first thing's going to say is, well, my guy's retired. There's,
exactly.
We were talking this morning, they're 5 hours just ahead of Central Time.
Yeah.
So you send a West Coast team over to London, that's 7 hours.
Yeah, that's
hard. Plus fly time.
Plus fly time. And it's not usually a direct flight. It's we're going to go to JFK in New York. Now we're going to go to a northern part of England. And then we're going to drive a few hours in to get into London.
What the NFL should do? Just get their own airline.
That they probably should. That's not a bad idea. Maybe you should market that.
All right.
Let's get it.
An NFL airline. People on Periscope, what do you think? Does the NFL need its own airline?
That's a great idea, actually, considering the much travel that they do. And Le'Veon on Periscope also mentioned that England needs their own division, which goes along with, I think, that mini league.
Yeah.
If you throw 4 to 8 teams in England alone,
just toss them there. Let them figure it out.
Figure out.
Boris will help them.
Exactly. Boris Johnson.
There we go.
Exactly. Going along with some of the other people that answered our poll question, if the NFL needs to expand outside of the United States, Ken brings up a good point. He said, outside the U.S., sure. London, no. Too far to mean for the Chargers to have a Monday night game in London. I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong. He said too far for the Chargers to have a Sunday night game in London, and then for London to have a game coming back. He said Canada or Mexico would be more appropriate. And there's been talks. I mean, Canada has their own league, and that's where it's kind of like the place where if you're not good to play in the NFL, you're not good enough to play in the Arena Football League, you're not good enough to play in Powder Puff, you're not good enough to play in, any other sport, you end up in Canada.
You end up in Canada. I mean,
there's some good players that have come from Canada, but it's not a first choice.
I'm trying to find the comment somebody made here in our post question, but someone said, Toronto, things like that. I mean, they have
why not?
They have an NHL team. There's things like that.
Yeah, Toronto's a very budding city. They've got an MLS team, they've got a hockey team, they've got a basketball team, they've got a baseball team. Why not give them an NFL team? Give teams like Toronto, Montreal, those closer to the border ones.
Give them a chance, coach.
Yeah, put them in. I mean, you could throw 2 or 3 teams up in Canada.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why not?
Make a little Canadian division.
Yeah,
perfect.
Exactly. Absolutely. Some of the other ones, Steve on Facebook posted a picture of Queen Elizabeth in a Green Bay Packers shirt and said, one must consider this a jolly good idea, which I think is fantastic. It's a terrible Photoshop job, but it's
wonderful.
You get the concept of it, and it's fantastic.
Yes, and thank you for the shout-out. NFL Airline would be a fantastic idea.
Yep, somebody agreeing with Sam on Periscope. We also had James on Facebook say the NFL's goals of going European are at the expense of American fans and shows their total disregard of the fans that have made them billions in profits. If Europe wants teams, then go ahead and build Europe, but be able to compete. Build them up to be able to compete, but stop ignoring the U.S. fans, which makes up a good point. I mean, the money has been made here in the United States. You made billions of dollars off of it. Why would you want to go? And it comes down to the money.
It does.
Money.
It's all about the money all the time, unfortunately.
Which is just not good.
But the NFL needs to take care of its own fan base.
They do. They really do. You got to support those guys around you. Just a few other quick ones. Paul writes in. He said, I disagree with your assertion that the NFL wants a team in London. The NFL wants visible locations to hold over the heads of cities while existing franchises. So then, wow, I need to learn how to read. So that when new stadiums need to be built, they can be built to least cost to one of the NFL teams. The threat of the team in London would be to replace for the threat of a team in LA, since one appears heading there in the next 2 years, which is true. LA looks like they're going to be getting another team.
We'll see. A
few more direct responses. Sherry says no. Megan says no. Chris Gibbons says a big old nope to that one. Aaron over in England says don't need it. It's called rugby.
Well played.
I find it interesting, too, because I copy and pasted these from Facebook, and Aaron also put a wink emoji, and it got translated over in the actual text. So it says, don't need it. It's called rugby, wink emoji.
There we go.
So thank you for the literal translation over.
Thanks, Microsoft.
2 other ones. Thanks for nothing. 2 other ones real quick. We had Maxine. She said, I would say no. What's the point anyway? If folks outside the U.S. want to watch football, they can do it as we do. Travel on our own dime to watch it on TV, internet. Our teams going there will end up just costing us more for tickets, etc. It will also raise another level of security needs. That's an interesting way to look at it, the security aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be part of it no matter where you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good opportunity. Le'Veon on Periscope says the NFL might have an opportunity to find more talent.
Good point.
As well.
There's always that.
Absolutely.
Different pool of players to draw from.
Yep, exactly. Last one here from Michael. Michael says there's certainly a market for it, but I think just having a few games there every year is enough. Though they could send some better teams over there. Jaguars, Raiders, really? That's very true.
True point.
There are markets in the United States that are surprisingly lacking, as in Los Angeles, maybe another in the Pacific Northwest. Heck, even Toronto wouldn't be a bad plan if they expanded to 36 teams. So I say keep some games over there, but all the hassle of traveling back and forth for the teams would be rough.
At the end of the day, it's just the logistics for me that would just be a nightmare for players and coaches.
I agree.
So
it's one of those things where, in theory, yes, it's a good idea, but realistically,
I like the concept, but to put it into practice, need some more brainstorming, guys.
Yep. I think Canada should get a team or two. I don't know about Mexico.
No.
Everything about Mexico scares me.
Yeah. Where would you put it?
Mexico City?
Ugh.
That's a scary idea.
Yeah, no.
The Canadians are much friendlier.
I don't see too many United States people just hopping on a plane to go watch football in Mexico City.
No, I don't think so.
No. But we'll see.
But in Canada, cheap meds,
We've been proven wrong before.
Exactly. We'll be right back. This is the Baxton Grand Sports Show.
Born good.
Welcome back to the Baxton Grand Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. This is Bax.
And this is Sam.
Welcome back inside the studio. How you doing, Sam? Having a good time so far?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, good. You're filling in well. You're doing a great job so far today. Grant Coppersmith, my normal co-host, is off for the day, but he'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, you better be back tomorrow.
You better be. And in greater numbers. No, that's not. That's a Star Wars reference, but Are you gonna see the new Star Wars movie when it comes
at some
out?
point? I mean, I'm not gonna be the first guy in the door.
Not gonna be a box office
No,
like
no,
Are you gonna dress in garb?
No.
No. Not gonna pull out the Wookiee suit or anything.
No, I'm saving that for Christmas.
What do you do for Christmas at your house?
Got a weird family.
Apparently. Oh my goodness. All right, well, it is Thursday, which means it is time for Connor Christensen to come on the show, as he does every Tuesday and Thursday, to offer his fight corner. Good morning, Connor. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Oh, just fine.
Doing great.
Do you celebrate Christmas in Wookiee suits at your house, Connor?
I do not.
Okay.
Actually.
I thought Sam was fairly normal, but now that I know that he incorporates Wookiee suits into his family Christmas,
Watch out.
I'm a little scared now. Security's letting just anybody into the studio this morning, I swear.
True. This is a reason Grant's
you're security, so that's you.
Then I need to work on finding a bigger budget to hire security or something.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, gosh. All right, well, Connor, you have some exciting news for us in terms of our favorite person in the entire world. What do you got for us today?
And our favorite person in the entire world is Ronda Rousey,
Woo!
of course,
Woo-hoo!
Naturally.
What a stud.
Oh, my goodness. I cannot talk about her enough. She,
That's great.
she's doing it all right now. She's promoting her fight coming up in November 14th is her next big fight,
At the
UFC
Etihad.
193.
Yep.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to all of 20 seconds of her fight, I'm sure.
Probably.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, so she's in Australia right now promoting it.
Okay.
And this is just a little fun sidebar. She was out taking selfies with a bunch of fans.
Okay.
So she runs up, or she walks up to these two girls, and one of them is just absolutely hysterical because Ronda Rousey is standing right in front of her. It was the funniest thing I have seen in a while, where this woman is in tears hugging Ronda Rousey.
Oh gosh.
Rousey has no idea what to do, just smiling like, this is. Oh, okay.
It's funny how people can get so
really
attached to a person that, murders
I feel like Connor
people.
might do that if she ever shows
Yeah,
up.
I feel like Connor would. I mean, I would probably too. I'd be like, oh my gosh!
Oh, I would.
Don't hurt me.
Oh, my goodness.
I'd be crying in
screaming.
fear more than excitement.
Yeah.
I'd be crying in excitement. So excited.
Why not? It's Ronda Rousey, for gosh sakes.
Yeah. And then also, a name I've brought up in the past,
Yes.
if the name Chris Cyborg
Yeah, I've heard of Cyborg
rings
more
a
than
bell
once.
to you.
Yep.
Yes. She's a MMA fighter, not in the UFC,
Okay.
but she fights at 145, which is where Ronda Rousey started
Oh, okay.
before
Here we go.
before she came to the UFC, and then she dropped to 135 and just decimated everybody. No one could
Well, with
touch
a
her at
nickname like
135.
Cyborg, I feel like
Come on.
that
Yeah.
it's part of the name. I wouldn't be intimidated by a cyborg that gives me hugs and kisses in the ring. Like
We're not
I
talking
want
about
you to
Mayweather.
destroy.
Come on, let's
Yeah,
go.
exactly. I'm gonna hug you for 36 minutes.
Cyborg actually brought up a really, really good point about UFC and their drug policies. And actually, you and I talked at length about the suspension of Nick Diaz
Yes.
for 5 years for marijuana.
Yep.
And all of that goes into that. So Cyborg brings up this point. She says, a fighter fails a drug test
Okay.
for performance-enhancing drugs, whether it be
Yes.
steroids or what have you. And then the public doesn't find out about this for sometimes years, and the fighter is still able to compete.
Which is garbage.
And what is that? It is garbage. And I was reading it going, yeah, she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. There should be, that should not be allowed. It shouldn't.
Yes.
And, but then she comes out and she challenges Ronda Rousey. So,
How dare you?
Bum,
which,
bum,
I mean, of course she does.
Of course.
Of course she
because
does.
She wants to get her butt kicked.
She comes out and she says, she says that herself, Chris Cyborg, is clean. She is a clean fighter, and she will prove it by, before every single fight for the next year, she'll do these super advanced drug tests, the Olympic drug tests,
That's
to
just a bit much, but
to screen herself before every single fight.
Okay.
And she'll do that to prove that she's clean, and she doubts that Ronda Rousey would do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's funny to mention that Cyborg failed the drug test for steroids in 2012.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yep.
Good job, Cyborg.
Keep it up.
And Ronda Rousey has never failed a drug test. So, call her out all you want. Right now the fight is not looking like it will happen.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure that Cyborg is willing to drop weight. Because Ronda Rousey has nothing to prove here.
No, she doesn't, and that's the hard part about
She's
it.
sitting the most dominant female fighter in UFC history, one of the most dominant fighters in UFC history.
Yep.
And she has absolutely nothing to prove. She should not go up in weight to fight Cyborg. She should not do that.
Yeah, she doesn't
If
need...
anything, Cyborg needs to go down to 135 to fight Ronda.
Yeah, I mean,
That is how it should be.
She really doesn't have to prove anything, like you said. I mean, I think she's pretty much
No.
established herself and her legitimacy in the sport. So, yeah, I mean,
I think that's something
Absolutely.
that bothers me about this sport too. Is it's one of those things where people feel like, oh, there needs to be just one dominant fighter. What's wrong with having a dominant fighter in one weight class and a dominant fighter in another? Let them have their own careers. Let them dominate their own weight classes, and then sure, maybe if it
Yeah.
works out in the future when one gets better or worse, then yeah, maybe you can do that. But there's no reason to
See-
have all this talk and speculation of like there needs to be just one great fighter. Why?
Well, yeah, you see, that's the thing. If I was watching UFC, years ago,
Yes.
and back when the names like when Rampage Jackson was really huge, Rashad Evans was really huge. Chuck Liddell
Yep.
Tito Ortiz, all of these really, really big names, and they were dominant fighters, and some of them were in the same weight class. And you were on the edge of your seat your whole time. George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, those huge names. George St. Pierre destroyed his weight class in the welterweight division.
Yeah.
No one could touch him. And Anderson Silva was dominating weight classes all over the place. Middleweight, light heavyweight, he moved around a lot. So a couple years ago, there were dominant fighters in every weight class. And, we're kind of moving away from that. It's kind of coming back a little bit, but it has hit kind of a lull. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But,
yeah, I just feel like there's such a need for it, Like people are just begging for it.
I'm going to make this prediction right now. Expect to see more dominant fighters starting to come out here. We have bigger names that are fighting soon.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor is fighting in December. He's fighting Jose Aldo.
Okay.
For the title, and that is going to be, oh my goodness, that's going to be a great fight because Aldo is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC right now.
Oh, interesting. Better than Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Better than Conor McGregor. McGregor's like, I didn't look at this today. I probably should have. I think he's like 8th. He was 8th last time I checked.
Wow, okay. He just has a really good publicity team then, because from everything, if I was going off of publicity purposes, McGregor's one of the best out there.
Well, I mean, don't knock McGregor. McGregor's a beast.
No. He is. The Irish beast.
He's an animal.
He's a maniac.
And that's why he's the second in their division, obviously, because they're going to be doing a title fight.
Yep.
But, Aldo is no easy fight. That is going to be a fantastic fight.
Well, fantastic. Well, Conor, we appreciate your insight today, but it's Ronda Rousey. It's never a bad time to talk about her, and then the exciting upcoming fights as well, man. We always appreciate speaking with you, and appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, thanks, Conor.
Yeah, no problem. Yep, thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. Enjoy your weekend. Good luck to your Vikings.
Oh, yeah. Bye-bye.
All right, have a good one. Conor Christensen, our resident fight corner and fitness tip guru. I always love having the chance to speak with him.
Always learning something new about a sport I don't know much about.
That's true, and that's why we bring guys like Conor on the show.
Yeah.
So, well, Sam, you got to take off, unfortunately, don't you? Or are you going to hang around a little bit longer?
I'm going to take off.
Going to take off? You got to get to that thing called college. So, I appreciate you stepping in today.
Yeah,
You did
appreciate
such a great
it.
job. Good seeing you, man, and we'll see you tomorrow.
I will be back tomorrow morning.
Sounds good. Applause for Sam Wallace. Well done. Well done. Well done. The studio audience is going wild for Sam, so well done, Sam. All right, we're going to go to one more break. When we come back, the playoffs for Major League Soccer are right around the corner. Where does your team stand? We'll find out. This is the Baxton Grand Sports Show. Welcome back to the Baxton Grand Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax. No Grant today. We just had Sam Wallace filling in for a majority of the show, but Sam had to jump out like Grant usually does on Tuesdays and Thursdays to get off to class. So I appreciate Sam Wallace stepping into the co-host chair today. He did such a fantastic job. So a silent clap for you there, Sam, for our studio audience and those listening out there as well. Give Sam a round of applause. So appreciate him stepping in to do a great job on the co-host bit of it today. We've had a great show today. We've talked to Conor Christensen and David Kenyon about the NFL and the upcoming fights in UFC. Always a good time. Never want to miss it. Remember, you can catch us right here, though, on Sports Radio America from 11 to 1 p.m. Central. You can also get us on Spreaker.com live from 7 to 8 a.m. Central and on Periscope as well. Hello to all of you watching on Periscope. I appreciate it. Continue to do your part to make the show the success that it is. Well, before we go today, I wanted to take a quick moment to skip over to my favorite sport, which is soccer. As much as I love football, my true passion is soccer. And those of you that follow Major League Soccer, or MLS, depending on how you view it or say it, you'll know that the playoffs are just right around the corner, and your team, depending on where they sit in the standings, must win out or is already in the playoffs if you're a New York Red Bulls fan. So I wanted to go through the playoff standings here thus far. Looking over in the Eastern Conference, the New York Red Bulls, they're the only team in Major League Soccer to clinch a playoff spot at this time. They have 48 total points. They are doing just a fantastic job. The Columbus Crew sit in second place right now with 47. My favorite team, the New England Revolution, are sitting in third place with 46 points. DC United in fourth with 45. Fifth place is Toronto FC with 40 points. And then the Montreal Impact, fresh off of a 2-1 victory over the Chicago Fire last night, sit now in sixth place with 39 points. And looking on the outside, looking in, you've got Orlando and New York and Philadelphia, all who are either 4 points or 5 points or 6 points out of that sixth playoff spot. The fact that Montreal now carries a 4-point lead over the next team, which is Orlando, gives them the opportunity to really close this out. And Montreal still has games in hand as well. They have 2 games less than the rest of Major League Soccer to play still. The Red Bulls have that as well. FC Dallas has only played 28 games as well. So 3 teams in Major League Soccer all have 2 extra games to play. Well, not extra, just they need to make up 2 extra games before the rest of the season is over with. So Montreal, the odds are definitely in their favor right now to grab that 6th spot. Montreal, they would play New England in that first-round knockout game. DC and Toronto would play each other as well. Columbus and New York would get first-round byes. Looking over to the Western Conference, Vancouver sitting in first place, barely, with 48 points. FC Dallas in second with 47. The Galaxy in third with 47. Seattle Sounders in fourth with 45 points. Sporting Kansas City in fifth with 44 points, although they lost last night to Houston, as the Houston Dynamo might possibly make it into the playoffs. They've been playing well recently. And Sporting Kansas City has been playing just terrible, absolutely terrible. I got a chance to watch some of that game last night, and it was, if you're a Sporting Kansas City fan, you cannot be thrilled with what's been going on down there. Dom Dwyer not scoring goals. The offense, the midfield is struggling as well. Defensively, you've got great players on your back line, Matt Beasler, Seth Stanovich. These guys should be just running the show, and they're not, and that's really causing problems for Sporting Kansas City. In the 6th spot, you've also got Portland Timbers with 41 points, and then right barely on the outside, you've got San Jose with 40 points in 7th, and then the Houston Dynamo and Real Salt Lake actually are all still in playoff contention with 38 points, each in 8th and 9th place, respectively. It's one of those things where the Colorado Rapids will more than likely be eliminated from playoff contention this week. Chicago Fire, they're already eliminated. Philly, they can still technically get in over in the Eastern Conference as well. In this upcoming week of action, the Red Bulls take on Orlando. If Orlando wants to have any shot at all of making the playoffs, it's got to happen this week, and they got to win against the best team in Major League Soccer in the New York Red Bulls. Chicago, they take on Toronto. Chicago's just playing for pride right now. Toronto, they want to stay in the playoffs, so if Chicago can play spoilers, that would be absolutely huge if they were to take down Toronto in that game. DC takes on Montreal. Montreal, they won last night, 2-1 against Chicago, goal coming from Didier Drogba. And now they take on a DC United team who has been in interesting form recently. Montreal, I like them in that game, actually. I have a good opportunity to win that game. Columbus and Portland will be a fun game to watch. Both teams looking for their continued supremacy within their own respective conferences. New England takes on Philadelphia. Houston takes on Colorado. Vancouver takes on New York. New York fighting for a playoff spot in the East. This is a game that they absolutely need to win. Seattle takes on Sporting Kansas City. If you're Sporting, you absolutely need to win, because if they don't win, there is a great chance they're going to end up missing the playoffs, which is just crazy for me to think about. If as good as a team as Sporting Kansas City is, they have just not played well the last probably about month and a half, so I would not be shocked if they ended up falling out of the playoff standings. And then San Jose takes on Real Salt Lake. Both of those teams fighting for that last spot in the Western Conference. Real Salt Lake wins, they will have 41 points and would be right on that cusp of getting in. If San Jose wins, they would be in the playoffs unless Portland wins. So a few more games left to go in the regular season. The sport that is Major League Soccer is always a good time, something you're never going to want to miss out on. So I appreciate all of you guys tuning in for another edition of the Baxton Grand Sports Show. Remember, you can catch us right here Monday through Friday on Spreaker.com from 7 to 8 a.m. Central, live on Periscope as well at that same time. You can also catch us on Sports Radio America, Live 365, and tune in from 11 to 1 p.m. Central Time. And you can get us on demand on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and on Spreaker.com as well. Social media, for all of you that love to interact with on social media, thank you for answering our daily poll question. You guys did a fantastic job. We want to remind you that you can find us on Facebook at The Bax and Grant Sports Show, on Twitter at BG Sports Show. I am at Baxter Colburn. Grant is at Grant's Rant BGSS. Sam Wallace, who stepped in as my co-host today, you can follow him at Samuel_Wallace2. That's Samuel_Wallace2. And then on Instagram, we are BG Sports Show as well. Yesterday, we posted about the first day of fall. And it's exciting. I love it. The fall air is starting to come. Starbucks has rolled out their new drinks. Oof, it's a good time. Absolutely a good time. Tomorrow is our 100th episode of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. 100 episodes. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect that we'd be at 100 episodes. But you know what? Tomorrow it happens, and I am thrilled. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a fun, lighter show. We've got all kinds of guests coming on the show. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to play some games, talk some sports, and most importantly, just have fun doing what we do. Thank you for all of you and your continued support. For Grant Coppersmith, who was out sick today, we look forward to talking with him again tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see all of you tomorrow. And remember, if it happens in the sports world, Grant's probably going to rant about it, and if he doesn't, we're still going to talk about it on the Bax and Grant Sports Show. For Grant Coppersmith, I am Baxter Colburn. Enjoy your day. We'll see all of you tomorrow for our 100th episode. Enjoy your day, everybody.